and you mentioned something else that I wanted to talk about, how the things get in. So the excessive acquisition of things. So you can do that, via shopping. A lot of people now, because we're homebound, are using Amazon and dumpster diving. Not so much that I've ever worked with. I've worked with one who would dumpster dive, but most of it was, street shopping. Like you said, it was free. So I couldn't leave that horse on the side of the road. My child needed, and you say, well, how old is your child? Well, she's 35, but I'm sure she's going to have children someday. And so I had to bring the hobby horse home. It would be wrong for me to leave it there for my future grandchild that's not even yet conceived. So you get that. And then you also get stealing. Now, I've never worked with anyone who had kleptomania or anything like that, but you have. You have?
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of times what I found, and not a lot, but the clients that I had, it almost came across from the way they looked at it was, I deserved this. Like there tended to be not a few clients, like they might've been slighted some way, or, this store doesn't treat people well. They didn't accept my coupons that were, they were expired 2 years ago. And so this is my way of making sure things were right. So it wasn't necessarily like I'm going out and stealing because I want it. There tended to be some kind of thought process on it that justified their taking of the items.
That is interesting, because I've had the client who, again, didn't steal, but had the emotion that, well, they slighted me. So, if I keep the return and get my money back, it's okay. Or, if they make me too much back, I'm not going to let them know. So the mindset was, like you said, I'm owed something, so I'm going to get it. And, it becomes almost a high. And so I want to do it again. I guess, hoarding thrill seeking, if there's a thing. Yeah. So I have had that. But that was an interesting story. I told you all he was fascinating. And then one of my favorites is receiving from others. I call that OPS, other people's stuff, where, they will hold things. Oh, let's take this over to mama's house, or she'll hold this for us, or they'll volunteer. Oh, just bring it here. So, and you walk in and you say, well, why do you have 5 dining room tables? Oh, well, I'm holding them for my daughter and my son-in-law. They're moving. And, oh, when are they moving? Oh, they moved 2 years ago. And then the people never come back to get their things. So of course they're kind of aiding and abetting, if you would, with the OPS. So if you're out there, don't take things to someone's house who has a hoarding disorder. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. And we talked about, their inability and unwillingness to discard some of those things, and that they, crowd up their homes basically. And you did touch on that it causes this significant distress or impairment. And I think a lot of people don't get that. They don't get how you describe that it's a thought process over letting go of something. And they may ruminate on that for days, weeks, or even months, where, again, you or I or someone without a hoarding disorder would just say, well, it's gone. I mean, I once donated a jean jacket to a local store. And for a moment I thought, well, but I really liked that jean jacket. But, after that, it was sort of like, okay, it's gone. With one of our clients, they may say, well, I could have used that. I could have given it to my granddaughter, or, I'll get back into that size one day, or, I wonder if they're going to give it a good home again that I talked about. So, it's not just, oh, I threw these things away and it's okay. I mean, I've seen it where people were weeping and, almost wailing and just, taking to their bed almost over having to discard some things. What's the level that that you've seen, the level of distress?
Yeah, no, I mean, it can get really intense. I mean, some of the things that wind up happening is there's so much emotion that goes into the items, especially when there's a personal connection. That's where you're going to see a really big problem. For some of these families, they may be holding on to things for the memories, and the family may be not intact, if you will. So if I let go of this, well, okay, this is a t-shirt. You're looking at the shirt like it's ripped in the middle. What's dirty t-shirt?
An arm.
Right, yeah. And when they talk about it, it's like, oh, I remember my son wore this shirt at the field day in 4th grade, and that was such a great time. And letting go of that, you're letting go of, in their mind, sort of a memory. The memory still, it's up here. The memory's not in the item, but for them, it's like, I won't have that memory if I don't have this object. And I think the other problem that can come in sometimes is if, let's say there's a strange relationship with that son, then
Yes.
it's even harder to, because that shirt almost winds up representing the son, the relationship they don't have. But these were the good times. This is what I remember, the good times. And now I don't even have that anymore. So it can be really an intense experience throwing out something that most of us are like, oh, ripped t-shirt. What do I need this for?
Or I'll use it for dusting. That is an excellent point, Dr. Hannan, because in my experience, the stories behind the items are fascinating. I remember it was our first date, and I'm talking about a matchbook here. It was our first date, and this is, the matchbook that he used to light the candle. And I remember the meal that we had, and how, we fell in love across, the candlelight. And then you'll say, oh, well, that's such a lovely emotion. How long have you all been married? Oh, we divorced like 2 months after. But the matchbook stayed, but the relationship didn't, but they're still holding on to the memory of it. That's the stories are intense.
Yeah, that's why, I do some work with families. And one of the things we even talk about sometimes is, I know you can't listen to every story, right? If you listen to every story about every item, you're not going to get anywhere. But it does pay off to listen to some of the stories. You're going to get people that are going to feel more connected to you, feel like you're understanding why you're trying to let things go. So sometimes those stories can be really important to hear. Again, you can't listen to every one. You're not going to get anywhere. But showing some interest in those stories can actually be healthy in terms of working with family members.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. If you are a family member, we're not talking in a clinical setting, but, letting your loved one tell you, again, not listening to every story, because again, you would be there for hours trying to get, discard that matchbook, but listening to some of the stories, and it may make more sense to you as to why they're holding on to that. And I remember, because I served as the hoarding expert for the District of Columbia government for a couple of years under the Department of Aging and the mayor's office. And we were in one of our work group meetings, and a social worker was, doing her case presentation. And she came in and, she gave us what we needed to hear. And one of her lines was, well, the daughter just said, well, we just want mama to get the lawnmower out of the living room. And of course, that can be something that you would chuckle at, not because, you're laughing at the person, but it's a funny story. And so, delving a little deeper, well, mama, why are you keeping the lawnmower in the living room? She said, well, that's because that's where it goes. And, the daughter, so the debate, well, why not keep it outside in the shed? And then we got, into the thing of, well, it may get rusted out there. And what if I need it and it's raining and I can't get to it? Now, most of us would say, well, if it's raining, you're probably not going to be cutting the grass. But in her mind, and we'll talk about that when we talk about, well, let's just segue into that, difficulty categorizing items or organizing them. Again, most of us would say, well, a lawnmower definitely belongs outside or under the porch or in a shed. But with this client, it made perfect sense to keep it in the living room. So what, again, funny story hearing it, not so funny if you're the daughter trying to convince your mama to get the lawnmower out of the living room. So thank you again for taking the time to stop by my channel. And before you leave, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. Do me one other favor, tell at least 5 people you know about my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And if no one has told you today how awesome you are, I want you to know that you are absolutely, positively awesome. Take care. God bless. Bye.